the Galapagos is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was just up for John Ronan, my stepfather's 80th birthday in Massachusetts, and he's been reading. I think there are some recent new publications of Darwin's journals as he's going around the world, and he was like, he had this whole thing about the Galapagos Islands and how he was talking about the nautical navigation and how far it's come. And this is like,
he didn't really come up with these ideas. These ideas were around.
Sure. Well, it's never that pure. Yeah.
Well, before we go any further, I mean, if we're talking about the genius of Darwin, and we'll have two of my favorite geniuses, I'll say three, I'll include myself on this, the Lydian spin. That would be Simon Slater, Timothy Seymour Dahl, and myself, and episode whatever 25 somewhere, and here we all are.
Yeah, what I will say is that what you do learn in the Galapagos, because only 3% of it is inhabited by humans. The biggest problem on Earth is the fucking humans. I mean, you go onto any of these islands and you have all these animals just like peacefully coexisting and not afraid of anything. I mean, you can walk up to a blue-footed booby. They're not afraid of you. You can
Excuse me, what exactly is a blue-footed booby, if you don't mind?
A blue-footed booby is this bird with these psychedelically cyan blue feet. And the males use them to attract, the females. So theirs are like super blue. And then you have the marine iguanas, which are called, I learned this, a mess of iguana. They're just like piles of these iguanas when you walk by.
And I've seen the nature videos of them swimming and adapting to like hunting underwater. It's fucking insane.
Oh, they're awesome. And then the sea lions. Like if you go into a town in the Galapagos, you'll see a sea lion like walking down the street, totally normal. And when you go snorkeling, they'll come up to you and
but they can be dangerous, sea lions. But I guess these are the friendly ones.
Well, you don't want to go near a male. You don't want to go near a dominant male.
Because usually it's the female around babies that are the dangerous ones. But I guess but then they always say don't swim with the sea lions or seals because sharks are around. And
I might mistake you for one.
Yeah.
That's a once in a lifetime trip.
It was a once in a lifetime thing. The only regret I had was I wanted to see a hammerhead shark. And every day in the morning, we go on these epic snorkels. And what I would do is, because I call being with the group kind of being in like a shopping mall, you have all these fucking losers swimming around. And, that's no way to swim with a sea turtle. I would go off from the group, like way far off. And of course, when I was off by myself, they all saw a hammerhead and swam with a hammerhead.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Wow.
Well, you know what? You probably were around hammerheads. You didn't see them; they saw you.
No, I saw baby Galapagos sharks though.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It is summertime, and humans are out. They leave their house and they go out into the world. And one thing they like to do is go camping, go swimming, etc. And already, because I'm talking about the United States here, buffalo attacks in Wyoming, shark attacks in Florida, bear attacks, and these are, with the exception of some of these shark attacks, they're provoked usually. Humans just, I don't
provoked.
So first of all, buffalo, sharks, a wild cat, even a raccoon will do a hiss or, contort, make its back, make it look bigger, give you a warning. Buffalo, and this is why they warn you everywhere out west, don't get close to these things, so they don't do a warning. Out of just nowhere, they'll fucking...
I thought buffaloes were peaceful. I didn't know they attacked humans.
Well, they're not trying to eat you. They'll just ram the shit out of you. And by the way, if you're a 6'1" male who's lean, but maybe 200 pounds, well, guess what a male buffalo is? 6 foot tall, 9 feet long, and 2,000 pounds, and it's got horns, so you don't stand a fucking chance.
Well, I met a very interesting taxi driver on one of my recent journals who said for 6 months he lives in Spain, and the other 6 he goes to his farm. I forget exactly where, but he said they have some bison, they have goats, they have sheep, they have one donkey. And I go, do they get along? And he goes, they all get along except for one female bison is kind of cranky. I'm like, well, I understand. I'd be cranky too if I was a goddamn bison.
All right, so don't go near the bison. Don't worry about sharks. If you've been attacked, bears, leave those alone. one thing you should pay attention. So on the East Coast this past week, 8 swimmers died from rip current. Two at Reese Park in the Rockaways. I guess growing up on ocean and stuff, just don't panic. You're not going to beat the ocean. If that happens, you just kind of have to go with it and kind of let it propel you, off to the side. But don't try to go against it and get exhausted. Now, of course, Rodney Desronaville of West Haven, Connecticut. This is a different force of nature. He got arrested the other night, 2 a.m., trying to drown his 2 kids.
I know what?
He tried to drown his 2 kids. He took them for like a midnight swim. He must have been out of his mind and drugs. And the cops are like, "What are you doing out there?" And he's like, telling the cops, "Stand back." Well, they didn't. They went in there and they grabbed these drowning kids. Like one's like in the intensive care unit. I don't know what was going on in his head. I know what's going on in Ganja Adhakarias' head from the head up, because from the neck down, totally paralyzed for life. Decided to go. Well, it's a North Carolina person went to a South Carolina amusement park called Family Kingdom, and decided to go on the roller coaster Swamp Fox. And well, the person is totally paralyzed for the rest of their life. I don't know what fucking happened there, but they're trying to sue it, and maybe it's some South Carolina revenge on North Carolina. Oh, here's the last summer adventure that went wrong in the last week. Jorge Zambrano decided to go to some like little, after school just ended, bring the family, went on some resort vacation. The hot tub electrocuted him to death. There was some like short circuit, got in there, and next thing you know, his hair was like Einstein, and there was smoke coming out of it. So,
like eating Raoul.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about that scene.
I mean, look, if you don't get a urinary tract infection or some form of bacterial problem in a hot tub, you have to now fear being electrocuted. Well, that's all fine and well, but I have to say, it's summertime. People get dumber. Is it just the heat? Ohio attorney suspended after pooping in a Pringles can, but after 6 months, he has his license reinstated. So he decided to poop in a Pringles can and then throw it into the parking lot of a crime victim advocacy center. All right.
Why?
Obviously, his behavior was called into his fitness was called into question. And he claimed, his name was Blakesley, that he didn't target anyone and said he pulled the Pringles prank at least 10 times that year. And he's known the victim advocates at the center for years and was scheduled to see them in court 15 minutes after the Pringles deposit. Yeah. Anyway, he was representing someone accused in a capital murder case. Anyway,
he's doing it all wrong. You don't use it as a bomb. You seal it up and put it back in the shelf of a fucking gas station convenience store if you really want to give a Pringles.
Well, it's certainly not the dumbest crime I've heard this week, and that would probably be and literally it's Florida once again. Woman labeled as world's dumbest criminal after calling the cops on herself.
Yeah, it's a classic move.
Yeah, well. Okay, so in Florida, the police received a rather unusual call from Christy Turman. At the time, she had broken into a closed car dealership with the intention of stealing a car. But she then confessed that about her plans and told the dispatcher that she was trying to steal a car that's not legally mine. But since she called the cops on herself, she was just participating in a game of black ops to steal a car and hoped that confessing her plans before she actually acted on them would make stealing the car legal.
Oh my God.
That's got to be meth.
I think arrested.
I think it's meth. I think it's meth. You're kind of over.
If you saw her face, you would know.
Yeah, probably meth. Probably that sounds like meth already.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if this is true, but there's a lot of people who claim it is true. Diesel, the donkey, a donkey named Diesel, this is Auburn, California, was basically this donkey that someone in Inland Empire or whatever fucking owned this donkey, would go on these hikes or whatever, these little trips. 5 years ago, the owner, she claims a mountain lion spooked it and it ran away. And she thought, wow, that thing gone forever. Well, Max Finnell, I can't read my own writing. He's going around. He sees a herd of elk. And then he looks closer and he's like, but why is there one donkey in this herd of elk?
You gotta love a donkey.
Yeah, and so then he's like, well, it's not just tagging along. It's the king of the herd. And somehow this they're all following, which turns out they claim to be Diesel. And so not only did Diesel, join the herd, or was not just accepted,
it leads the herd.
A herd of elk became their supreme leader. Now it keeps on going. There's a forest ranger who found just, I don't know, right around this story's happening, a few months in the periphery, a dead mountain lion that seemed to be killed by being stomped to death by a hoofed animal, and he claims it had to have been a donkey. So they think Diesel's not just the head of a herd of this wild elk bunch, but is like kind of such a badass, can fucking just like take down mountain lions.
Now, Tim, I have to ask you, because I know a lot of people that really love donkeys. I'm also one. I have a favorite donkey that would greet me every time I would go to Belchite, the Civil War town between Madrid and Barcelona. Greet me with a little headbutt, remembered me. And also, when I lived in Barcelona, every Christmas, and this was always a joy to me, although I never got to participate, there would be 3 miniature donkeys on the corner of my street waiting to take children for a ride. They didn't believe I was under 18, so I couldn't ride the mini donkey. A dream of mine always to, in the future, eventually have one. I don't know where.
Well, the original owners of Diesel have been contacted, and they're all believing it's Diesel, because Diesel has disappeared and no one else has claimed of a runaway donkey. So they've just decided, and even if it isn't, doesn't matter. It's given peace to the family that lost Diesel 5 years ago.
Well, donkeys need love. They give love, they need love, and they can be badass.
Well, I think these are kind of like California hippies. They feel like clearly they weren't giving enough love, and it's much happier out in the wild, roaming with a herd of elks.
And Tim, I have to ask you, if you could, and I know we neither of us do, nor does Simon, because we're just not home enough. If you could have any pet, wild or not,
all right, yeah,
what would that pet be for you? What is the ultimate Timothy Seymour Doll pet?
Well, so I mean, there's really only a handful that have been truly incorporated and domesticated in human.
Well, I don't even mean domesticated. I mean any pet at all.
So I'm going to kind of make a separate category of your question, because I think it's more fun.
Sure.
Of one, not the classic dog, cat, horse, no. Not, or even a pig, not even that. Just some exotic animal. I know it seems psychedelic and extreme, and kind of maybe gross. I don't know, but they are sold in the exotic animal market, and people have them. A pet anteater, and those things are supposed to be pretty soft and very mellow. But by the way, they also get 7 feet. So these like long conical nose, and I'm
surprised after
it's like 7 fucking feet.
I'm surprised after your intimate near compilation, other than the fact it had chlamydia with a koala, that wouldn't be on the top 3 for you.
Well, the koala is so soft and cuddly, but it's stoned all the time. And
well, that sounds perfect for you. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think anteaters, maybe they're just kind of, I don't know. It's something about.
Well, I mean, you've been occasionally called an aardvark. It's an aardvark and anteater. Or are they separate animals?
I think they're the same family. I think they're technically different animals. But
Simon, I have to ask you. I mean, now that you've been to the Galapagos, was there an animal that, if you could, you would have adopted and brought home to your Brooklyn bachelor pad, just for a little snuggling on late night?
Well, that would be easy. It would be the turtles. I mean, there's the sea turtles I couldn't bring back because they need to be in the ocean. But one of the giant tortoises, like the saddleback tortoises, another animal that's allowed to just kind of like roam free, go wherever. Like if that lives in your yard, by law, you cannot make it move. It just goes wherever it wants. Those animals are hilarious.
And they're like,
are they big?
130
huge.
years old.
You could ride them. Yeah. Some of them are like 150 years old.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be the one riding the first turtle you get.
I mean, those Galapagos tortoises, they were, and you know about this now. I mean, I weren't they like Were there like 10 left or something? I mean, they're basically on the verge of total.
Yeah, no, yeah. So that's an interesting thing. They were basically hunted to near extinction, and then there was what they did was they started a and it's complicated. They started a series of breeding centers to bring them back. But the thing is, the tortoises on different islands are very different animals. So when you go to the breeding center, it's very interesting. What they do is they breed them, I think, till they're 3 or 4 years old, and then they're released back into the wild. But they're separated by island, and then reintegrated.
Well, you know that I love squirrels, and I have exposed, I think, both of you, at least various of my friends, to the giant Indian squirrel, which is about 5 times the size of an average squirrel, and usually blue, purple, chestnut brown,
is that
orange.
Real or is that a hoax? Is that
No,
real
no.
or is that a
Oh,
hoax?
just Google it. It's very real. Once on a train, even I met a few fellows from India, and they said, I asked them if they had any giant Indian squirrels. They said, "Oh, we have plenty. Come and visit us sometime." I'm like, "Okay, maybe next year." And that's it.
Well, I mean, I get it. You like things that go nuts, quote unquote.
Thank you very much. That's why I love you.
Go
Anyway,
ahead,
I just got back from Madrid today, a few hours ago, before this podcast intro. Great show, great tour with Mark Hurtado and my Suicide Tribute. Madrid maybe being the topper of all.
Cool.
Hot as hell, like it is here
I can
now, or
imagine,
everywhere now, which it will be. And yeah, I'm raring to go, and I'm looking forward to our upcoming Big Sexy Noise tribute with Timo Ellis, Kevin Shea, Tim Dolan, myself, starting very soon and going to Baltimore, Philadelphia, Phoenixville, and York. And other than that, this is
Brooklyn.
And Brooklyn, the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Doll, and our special guest, Marianna Simnett. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Doll, and our guest today, Marianna Simnett. I just came from your incredible installation, multimedia, from the Hamburger Bahnhof, which I was very happy to be a part of, my part being the voice of multiple babies. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this fantastic I was very impressed with this installation because first it's multimedia. You had your finger on almost everything, including resin 3-tier benches with testicles implanted all over them, resin countertop cabinets, which almost look up like a Nathan's hot dog stand, but better. And then there's multiple video screens, and it's called Winner. And it's based around, tell us exactly what it's based around, please.
Well, Lydia, hello, thanks for having me on. It's based around soccer, and you were the origin story. I always wanted you to be my baby, you know, so I just...
I'll be your baby.
It's based on soccer and her being your baby?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Go on, Mary, continue. Tell us more.
It all makes sense. So it's at the Hamburger Bahnhof. It's the Euro 24 championships going on right now, being hosted in Germany. Right. So they asked me if I could make a project about football, soccer in America.
Right.
And it's not my usual shtick, but I don't know. I think maybe they saw in me something that wasn't the usual bravado. Shit. Yeah, exactly. So I said yes. And I got into a lot of the ultra culture and the extreme fandom and the screams and the shouts and cheers and violence and destruction and the love and the passion and the rage and everything that we love about soccer. And I thought, who better than the witch of all witches of the highest order to play my crowd of screaming fans who,
and the fans are only old babies.
The fans are babies. Exactly. And it's a multimedia installation. There's 5 screens. There are sexy ladies who sell hot dogs and chips and fries, and there are football fouls. And it tells a story of a group of teenagers who destroy the referee's house of red and yellow cards, based on The Destructors by Graham Greene, which was written in 1954.
I mean, there's so many levels to this project, and I had to keep interrupting to ask because I'm not familiar with soccer, but there were so many signifiers. Like, why is this how you built this within the film, which is on 5 screens? 5 screens. There was this giant plywood outdoor house of cards made of big chunks of wood that was red and yellow. And I'm like, significance, please tell me.
Yeah. Well, you know, the ref cards are red and yellow. Red for off, like yellow for a warning, and red for you're off the pitch. You can't play anymore.
Yeah, you're kicked out of the game.
You're kicked out of the game.
And they can't even see. They can't sub anyone else. You're a man down, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So it's a big deal.
First of all, that was a beautiful construction. Just singular construction in the film, which was gigantic. And you said it was problematic because it kept collapsing like a house of cards would.
Yeah, because we wanted it to stay up when we wanted it to stay up. And then we wanted the baby, the winner baby, is the culprit that pulls the house down. So they smash up the house on the inside, and then the baby comes and pulls it down.
Are these kind of like baby hooligans in a way?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Like me, a real baby hooligan. And it's so weird to see these babies' mouths moving, and my voice.
Oh yeah, we used AI to. So I went to New York and we recorded in a studio in Brooklyn, and then
Marianna and she came and she was producing my vocal intonations.
And I wrote some chants and songs and things and nasty, vicious lines, and Lydia did it in one take, obviously, and then we used AI to manipulate the real babies' mouths so that they would speak in the shape of Lydia's words.
Okay.
So, and so there's multiple screens going on showing different actions. And also, this was curious to me too, is that some of the acts of football, soccer violence were actual reproductions of violent scenes that happened in actual games.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. So we took on some of the most iconic football fouls in history. There's
Liverpool against Naples. Did you do that one?
What's that one?
That was one of the biggest ones in UK history.
But who was it?
It was Naples, Italy versus, I think it was a Liverpool team.
Yeah, but was it a foul impact? Was it a violent? Who was?
Yeah. It was basically the whole crowd fucking just started destroying each other. The whole place.
But why don't you tell us which scenes you actually reproduced? There were some famous.
I reproduced the Zidane headbutt, which is iconic. Yes. We reproduced the David Beckham kick where he got a red card. We reproduced the Schumacher Battiston foul in Germany, and there was one where this German footballer called Avard Lenin got this 25 centimeter slit in his thigh because someone launched at him with his football studded shoes and opened up his leg in the 80s. So
that was a beautiful scene. I must say that was one of my favorite visuals.
You're talking about the actual players, not the audience.
Yeah, not the audience. We did do Cantona. We did recreate Cantona kicking the spectator. That was another moment. There's a lot of but we didn't do we didn't recreate the crowd.
So I'm not even a soccer fan, but if it's the World Cup or something, I'll check out the matches. And the Zidane one that you're referring to, because I live in South Brooklyn, which is a very Italian American neighborhood, and so it was France versus Italy, and the whole Zidane thing happened, and I think Italy ended up winning. Anyhow, I'm walking in Sheepshead Bay, and there's this Italian family, and there's this little kid. He probably only first time ever saw such a match, and he's like, "But Mom, France," and then she stops like, "Jimmy, everyone hates France. Jimmy, everyone hates France." That's basically what she's saying.
What are some of the babies? What are some of the babies chanting? Remind me about that.
They're saying, "No one likes us. No one likes us." Beautiful house with beautiful windows and beautiful floors and beautiful staircase and beautiful floors, beautiful knives, beautiful hammers, beautiful scissors and beautiful saws.
And that's when they're destroying the house.
When they're destroying the house.
The footballers, teenage footballers.
So Marianna, I don't know if you know about this one. I remember when I was a kid in the 80s, and there was a lot of tension between the United States and Colombia just because of the narco terrorism and narco wars and CIA and all that stuff. But one of the Colombian players accidentally kicked the ball into his own net, and when he got back to Colombia, they killed him. Oh. The cartel murdered him. Yeah.
I'll get that one in next time.
Wow.
Well, no, he kicked the ball. He was trying to defend, and it went off his leg and went into his own net. So he basically gave the United States a point, and then he went back to Colombia, and he did not make it.
The point heard around the world. Also, there was another, not subtle, abstract, yet subtle, yet obvious, if you know where this is going, which at one point, these teenage hooligans who are the destroyers of the house, the fans, they're wearing these, I thought, are those rabbit feet around their neck? But no, what were they actually? And you also designed these. What was hair around their necks?
They're wattles, chicken wattles, rooster wattles. So they're basically they're called the cock squad, and when they're alluding to roosters clucking around, showing off their bravado, and
human roosters.
They wear the signifiers around their neck to brand themselves, and they're basically like dropped balls around chains around their necks. But you know, the testicles and wattles have the same function in biology. Like they're used to control body temperature, and they have this so chicken, like all that red stuff that grows around their face, it's the same as balls, really.
It's the same as scrotums, you mean?
Yeah, it's scrotum.
Yeah, because the scrotums, that's why they tighten up and loosen up to basically
like
balance.
It's like a snail. And for the piece, I had to cast all of my friends' testicles and scrotums, and some of them would get kind of embarrassed because I didn't know, but they have quite giant ranges of sizes depending on the temperature or the mood. They can shrivel. They can shrivel easily. So if you poke or touch them with something, they just shrink back. So they're quite difficult to cast.
So it goes from like basically
she's the ball caster. When Cynthia Plastercaster was the cock caster, she's the ball caster. Good job.
But the thing is, no pun intended. But but you know, if you're doing plaster around there, if it's warm, obviously you're gonna have a different mold than if it's looking, if it's cold, then it's a peach pit.
Yeah, well, it has to be cold because I'm using that stuff that they use in a dentist, alginate, to cast it with.
Okay. Well, and also, I've done body cast. I've done body cast before, and it usually goes on warm, and then it gets cold. And when I did a body cast, when it was making lights of my torso, when you pulled it off, it was like your soul was coming out with this shit. And I use carapace, which is used like when you break your arm or leg. So I imagine. Did they
Where
have
is
to
it now?
Did
what
they
did
have
you
to
make
shave?
with it? Yeah, they had to shave. They had to shave. Yeah. One of them forgot to shave and it got stuck.
God.
Oh wait, let's not forget the pubic hairs.
Oh yeah, the pubes.
By peaches and others. You were gathering pubic hairs. Tell us.
Yeah. I mean, actually, the show has a grace. I think it's glamorous. It's not gnarly in the way that we're describing. But sure enough, there are all the world's pubic hairs. They sent donations through the mailbox, and I collected people's pubes, and I encased it in resin in these seats that you sit on. So you're sitting on collective bodies of pubic hair,
which you wouldn't necessarily notice, even though you are sitting on a resin seat with balls hanging off of every side of it.
Now, were there any pubic hairs that stood out that were like, what the hell's this?
I know that one must be peaches.
Or is it like universally kind of like they're all kind of
gnarly,
weird,
different colors,
different
colors, pretty much the same texture across the board.
Right.
Yeah. We know what they're like.
I would say, East Asian is definitely a different texture than, say, Northern European.
How many have you seen?
Individual ones? How would I even count? I don't even know how many I've seen in one go. I don't know.
Wait. Did you say, correct me if I misheard, you had solicited pubic hairs from around the world and they came in the mail?
Yeah.
Of course you did. How else would you get them?
Well, how else would I get them? Seriously, how many people do you need to meet? It's there's a small area of skin. I have to have a lot of people involved.
So how many pounds of pubes did you gather? I need a pound of pubes.
Not enough. Not enough. Next one, I need triple.
All right.
But anyway, what did you think, Lydia, when I said, do you want to be my baby? Actually,
I said, this woman is outlandish. I got to talk to her. Well, I always used to say I used to be the baby. I used to be the youngest one on the scene. Now, of course, hello. But I thought you were outlandish. I'm like the baby with this voice. I sound
No,
like
it's
your
perfect.
creepy fucking uncle, and here's the
Marianna,
baby.
what cities you grew up in, Marianna, or town or whatever?
Where did I grow up?
Yeah.
London.
You grew up in London. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Let's get
Outskirts
back
of
to
London.
that. Go ahead.
Kingston.
okay. And you're living now in
Now I'm in Berlin, but I'm moving to New York next week.
for how indefinitely.
Yeah,
Cool. All right. I'll be seeing you around probably.
exactly. It's fun.
All right.
Tell about the process, Marianna. Tell about the process. I'm trying to describe these. I don't even know what to call them. Like I said, it was almost like a very elegant resin formed counter,
Yeah.
which was this orange amber kind of thing with also bottles with a tire at the bottom. I mean, really beautiful. But that was also in the movie itself. And a very interesting drag performer was like making the hot dogs. But then the stand that she's filmed in is there's also two of them in the installation, and those were really beautiful. And you said you got those done first by 3D printing and then in Slovenia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically, I make films, I make sculptures and paintings and stuff. So for me, I make worlds or universes, and especially when I'm doing a museum show, it's important that it matters what people sit on, the sound, every tiny bit of it, So it's not just a film. It's
well, also when you enter in like that hallway, what was on the walls? Because first of all, you enter into this tunnel, which is
it's like the womb,
black gray.
It's the womb. It's the birth canal.
Okay, it's the black birth canal. And what was that made of, though, that hallway? Is that paper, plastic? What was that made of?
What? On the wall?
The tunnel.
When you're walking. Tunnel was just made of wood and then painted in a concrete kind of paint. I wanted it to feel dark and industrial.
And then you go into pink. Then you go into
this. Yeah. Then the main room's pink.
Pepto-Bismol pink.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy.
And there's chicken feathers on the floor as well. Feathers on the floor. The process was epic. Well, I mean, the process of making those hot dog stands, I like those little windows, portals into another world. When you see when I went to all the football games, I had to go and watch the matches. They represent half time for me, or pre-match, post-match, the little moment where you have a beer and chat about the game. And the sexy ladies live inside the hot dog stands and sing a song. They sing the song at halftime, and they're performed by Gigi Spelsberg, who's amazing. And she sings a song about the next life being better than this one.
What was interesting too is you did a real close up of her mouth. And I was asking so many questions like, do you stain her teeth? You're like, yeah, because they're really evocative.
Yeah, we made her gnarly. We put black shit all over her teeth. We dressed her up. She's gorgeous, but she's grotesque and gorgeous at the same time. Yeah,
like all of us.
Yeah, exactly. All the best ones. She knew who she was as soon as she didn't take long. We did a rehearsal and she fit right in. That's why we knew her already. I don't really cast people.
I don't know the name of any of the babies, but I did like the one that kept scratching his balls.
Espen.
There was one baby that just kept grabbing himself.
They don't know they're doing it. They're babies.
They're babies. They touch themselves. And
at one point, they have
at one point, a few of them have what looks like baby diarrhea on their mouth, and I'm like, what was that? And we're like, well, no.
Yeah.
Fake baby diarrhea.
We shot the whole thing. We built the house to destroy it. We shot the film on it's all shot on 16mm film, and so it has a vividness, vibrancy. Shot by Robbie Ryan. Do you know him? He shot Poor Things and The Favourite and all of the
amazing.
Yeah. And he it's the third film I've made with him now, and he loves my batshit crazy shit. So he's
who did the music again? Because the music was also really creepy and good.
Yeah, exactly. Bendik Giske, saxophonist, Norwegian saxophonist, really amazing, circular breathing saxophone, like really intense. And then Brendan
from Berlin.
Lives in Berlin. Yeah.
You know him, Tim? You know them?
What was his name?
Bendik Giske.
I've never worked with him.
He's really
right,
amazing. I wanted it
okay.
to have the physicality of an instrument that was like an athletic instrument. You know, like where you have to push your body to play it because it's a hazard to play it because of the amount of ongoing.
Right. So it's circular
stop.
breathing, like Evan Parker from.
Yeah.
Does Peter
Yeah.
Evans also do circular breathing?
What's that?
Does Peter Evans on the trumpet?
Oh, Peter Evans, Matt Nelson, all the new generation. It's kind of a technique that is kind of required these days. It's kind of
Let's go back to London. Let's go back to your childhood. All right, say you're 10, 11, 12. What are you interested in? What are you thinking at that point? Like, what do you want to do? Do you know what you want to do at that age? What did you first get into? Movies, writing, books, music?
Books, but I didn't watch anything till I was 13. I was making everything. I was playing music from age 5, and then I was making art from age 3. Art all the way.
You were the baby.
I was the baby. At 10 years old, I wanted to kiss. This is actually not, you know what? I'm going to confess on air to something. So basically, I wanted to kiss someone. I was just desperate to kiss someone at 10. Didn't care who it was. Could have been plant, dog, whatever. And I ended up kissing a baby.
Okay.
Stop us both on that one. Now, I want to get back to that in a minute, but before I forget, on the plane coming to Berlin from Glasgow, 100 football fans behind me. All right. And at the very end of the flight, which wasn't that long, they start doing some of the exact fucking chants you had to record so I could hear them so that I could do them as the baby. I was like, oh my God, this is a premonition nightmare. But I did get to rub somebody's rabbit fur. What is it called? Those crotch purses.
Well, the Scottish. I don't know what it's called.
With the kilt. Anyway,
yeah, the kilt.
You know what they're called? The pouches they wear in front of their kilt.
No, I don't know what they're called.
I don't know, but I got to rub a middle-aged man's rabbit-footed crotch pouch. Because I had to.
I was on one of those flights when Celtic United were playing Bayern Munich, and it was kind of just drunken and gross. And
most of these, I have to say, 95% of the flight, they were very polite, except the guy was wearing a fucking unicorn headpiece. But at the end, they started singing these chants and then singing a dirty one. And the stewardess, I've never heard this before, stewardess said, "Please no swearing in the back. We have families here." She had to read now. She was going to kick them all off mid-flight, whatever. All right, back to your 10. You're making art.
All right, I'm making art. I moved onto a boat when I was 13, and that's when things kicked off really, and I started making art properly every day. I went to a school that I had a teacher who saw that that's what I needed to do. I've just been making ever since. It never really stopped. It was always the same since birth. I just came out like that. It's been since day one. What can I say?
Up the ass, I'm out. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, it's all I ever wanted to do. And it doesn't matter
what kind of art do you even know about when you're 10? I mean, you're making it. Do you have any frame of reference at that point or later? What became your frames of reference?
Frames of reference became Louise Bourgeois' Spider. I like stuff like that. I like Cindy Sherman. I like dressing up in persona building, and I used to dress up as different characters every day and scare people. And then I'd go and ask my friends. I'd dress up as a naked old lady and tell her to photograph me in the gutter, and then the police would come and tell us off because she was harassing an old age pensioner. But I was young, you know. I was just performing.
As an old age pensioner, naked in the gutter. Signs of future times, you never know.
Did people try to bully you for standing out so much?
Yeah, but I was already ostracized, so it didn't really matter to me. You know, art became my lover in a way, and then I just knew that was going to keep me sane through life. So sure, a little bit of bullying when I was younger, but then they just called me weird.
And you know what? The weirdos win in the end. Hello.
Weirdos win in the end, yeah. What about you? I want to know what you were like at 10.
Tim?
Me or Olivia?
Both. What were you doing at 10 years old?
I got to think about specifically. I asked my dad to buy me a bass guitar. And that
Oh,
was and that kind of led to a whole life of performing. What was I doing? I was making up stories and vandalizing, and I don't know. I was just doing boy stuff.
I was
Math.
shoplifting and planning the murder of my entire family.
what did you
In my
shoplift?
dreams, at least. But when music came into my life at 12 and books, I mean, then I knew there I'm going. I'm going
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. But it's funny because I didn't have a frame of reference before I knew. The frames of reference came later, even
Yeah.
though I was already doing it.
We have to
Strange.
give you a past life regression and see what artist actually is inhabiting your body. But I think there might be somebody from the past that you don't even know about because it might have been centuries ago. Who was
Exactly.
a radical rebel artist.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, 10 was interesting because it was before puberty, and so like the girls, that was kind of the age that where it's like boys and girls weren't separated. They started becoming good friends again before puberty, where it kind of separates again for a second in terms of sexuality. So 10 was kind of fun. I thought 10 was pretty fun for me. I was having a good time.
But then the leaps that it took from 10 suddenly 12 is a different person.
That's a different animal. That's totally different.
Different beast. Yeah.
I was already well
totally
on my path to being who I am at 12, I must say. And that path was dark, not as light as it's now.
Yeah, mine was pretty dark. 13, 14 were probably my dark years.
So you're in London, you're living on a boat for a while.
Yeah.
You went to university, right?
Yeah, I went to university. Did 2 degrees in art. I went to Nottingham, first of all, and then I went to the Slade School of Art in London to do my master's.
Did that educate you at all? Did that excite you, or you're just like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get my master's and fuck off?
Yeah, it excited me. I made a piece of work where I taught myself how to faint, and that was pretty good.
Self-hypnosis.
Through hyperventilating? How'd you do it?
Yeah, through hyperventilating. Yeah, because I wanted to make a piece of work about my grandfather, who was Croatian, and he was a Holocaust survivor, but he survived because he fainted when they thought he was shot. And then he fled back to Croatia and told the story to my mum. And then I wanted to make a story where I would learn how to faint. So I taught myself off these kids who were doing it to get high. It's a thing at school. People do it to get high. Yeah. And then that became one of my most significant works I've ever made, because it ended up as this blinding white aggressive light installation where you hear the sound of me fainting and hyperventilating. It was never a film in the end. I just wanted it to be just pure sound, pure light. But that's what I made at the Slade, and that was important to me.
That's how you got an A.
Yeah.
A for painting.
You don't get A's. Do you get A's?
Free TikTok. I wouldn't know. I'm only taught at universities. I never attended. Myself, but that's how it is. All right. So, what was your first major? I mean, obviously you've done a lot of work. This is now probably your largest project that's up now.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's massive actually, and it's in a very reputable. I mean, the main museum of Berlin. But what was after school or during school? What was the progression of your getting where you are now? Because you have to fucking fight, struggle, beg, borrow, steal, insist, all of that shit to get anything.
Yeah. It doesn't really stop. I won a prize. I was pretty low during the MA. Some psychological shit came up and I was feeling a bit like I wanted to leave and stop everything. But then I carried on, won some stuff, won a free studio, gives you that boost. And then after that, kept making films, kept making shows. And
so your early films, how were you making the early films? And what medium was this? Super 8? Was it 16?
No, I did animations, early films. I did stop frame. I did a bit of analog, but then I did video. It was easier at the time, and I had tiny budgets, minuscule, and I made films about cow udders and strange things like that.
About what? Cow udders?
Cow
Cow
udders.
udders, yeah.
Yeah. And then I made another film in Albania where I went to meet sworn virgins, who are women who live their lives as men, because you get more rights as a man in highly patriarchal northern regions in the mountains. And so I met a sworn virgin, but they have to swear an oath of chastity because homosexuality is banned there. So they have to live the life as a man and be celibate forever. Anyway, so then I made a work about that, and then I made a work about
What was that called?
that's
that
called
mean?
Blood. That film's called Blood.
Blood?
Yeah. Then I made a film about bionic cockroaches in Texas, where they're putting backpacks onto cockroaches to send them into earthquakes and things to detect dead bodies. So I made some cockroach film. Then
Large cockroaches, I guess.
Madagascar cockroaches, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That must be real pretty.
I was making crawling with cockroaches voluntarily. And
Cool.
then
All right.
I made a film.
Don't take me on the crawling with I'm full of cockroaches. Madagascar, by the way, let's be specific, very exotic.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Then I made another one that I think was important to me, where I changed my voice, the pitch of my voice, with Botox. So I worked with a voice surgeon, and he injected my larynx with Botox, and then that lowered my voice for 3 months. And I made a piece of work about pitch and gender.
Could you give us a sample of how deep your voice became?
Oh, it's like,
so it's really hoarse. It didn't resonate like a bass voice. It was a different thing.
It's like an instrument. It just relaxed all the chords.
So it relaxed because the chords are not as thick and as long as
it's paralysis.
biological females. Yeah.
You know, Botox is paralysis. So basically,
yeah.
goes into the hyper. I can't remember the name of the muscle now, but the hyper, whatever it's called, the muscle that is controlling the pitch of your voice, that's attached, that resonates, that basically then loosens the strings and produces a lower sound.
So when you had the Botox larynx injection, was it difficult in just practical daily life to communicate?
Yeah, really, 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 really difficult. And of course, people around me thought I was a freak for doing it in the first place. And the frequency of my voice was, I couldn't be not in rooms with pubs or crowds or any of those rooms.
It wasn't cutting through.
It doesn't cut through.
Right.
Well, and also if you're communicating with people that don't know you, they might, because they're so quick to say anything is a disability, like, all right, she must be whatever.
They thought I was deaf.
What?
People were treating me like I was deaf. And
Did you ever
hear
have
perfectly well, but it's just because I was talking and couldn't be heard. They suddenly thought that was a sign that I was deaf as well.
Were there any moments where you were like, "This better come back"?
Yeah, it was
like an acid trip. Like, is this ever going to end?
Yeah, I did. It was very unpleasant. It was very uncomfortable, but I did decide to do something. What I wanted to do was to completely dissolve the boundary between what I was making and how I was living. So I wanted that, I was trying to push beyond what this thing hanging on a wall or whatever, some object that I'm making. I wanted it to be living with me.
Sure.
So was that what was the name of that project?
That's called The Needle and the Larynx.
Of course it is. So with the needle and the larynx, was it more of the project itself was the living embodiment of the concept, like you said, as opposed to something hanging on the wall?
Oh no, it's a film. It's a film. It's a film.
Yeah.
It's a film with it's like a fairy tale, like the fox and the stork, the Aesop's fable. It's like the needle and the larynx. It's a fairy tale play on this instrument and the subject. And I tell the tale of a young girl who wants to go to a surgeon to get the voice changed, and he says no, and then she kills him. And then
why not?
So it's also
my larynx is getting scratchy just thinking about it. Bring the Botox.
I've had a few fainters watching that one because of the phobia, the needle phobia, because it's basically.
So you're showing. Are you showing?
I show the whole procedure. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Rod Stewart would get injections in his larynx daily, but go ahead.
Tim, I didn't hear that. What?
Rod Stewart, when things were going kind of little rough for him at one point in his career. Had to take the needle into the larynx, but that was actually steroids. It wasn't. It wasn't Botox.
So you have a lot of references to literature in your work, like you were saying, like a fairy tale or Graham Greene, etc.
Yeah.
And then they worm their way into a reinterpretation through your work. But I mean, like any tale or good story, they live in perpetuity to be retold, told again, reinterpreted, etc. Because it all goes back to, basically probably 5 stories, period, of life, or, commandments, or, the chapters or whatever. So that's interesting. So needle in the larynx. How long did Winner, the latest project installation, multimedia film, how long did that take to not only conceive, but how long did the shooting of the film take, and then also the creation of the furniture in there? How long had you been working on this piece? And it's because it is massive, and it's not like it takes up that much room. It's that there's massive conceptual objects with 5 screens of film playing in a weird synchronicity. So how long did that whole thing, they approached you to do this concept, to do a concept?
They approached me about a year before, but I was in the middle of making another project for stage called Gorgon. So I was really full on. And so really it was 6 months of hardcore, 7 a.m. till 1 a.m. every day.
Well, as your producing partner said at the conversation, you were on the phone or as I like to say, most artists, we work 9 to 5, 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. You were working 7 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Pretty much. There wasn't much sleep, but it was great fun. So I would say 6 months, but then the conception happened earlier, and then I wrote the script, and then I painted the storyboards and blah, blah, blah. So for me, it happened about 8 months before. It's still not long enough. I would have always need longer, but it was good. I wouldn't change a thing, actually.
I wouldn't change a thing either. Do you feel sated with this now up? There it is. People can come to see it. I'm sure the reaction is great. There's a book catalog for it. But or does it make you go, what next? What's next? Well, next you're moving.
Next. There's always next. But unusually for me, this one sits really well.
Good.
Yeah, I can stand by proud. I think it's also because of the people involved. Yourself, everyone involved is iconic.
Everyone is so cool. I mean, I met a few of the people involved, and everyone was just totally cool. And and it seems to that with the people, and also all of these babies. First of all, how many babies were there? Because then they're multiplied into the stands.
Yeah. We made a football stadium, but there's only 12 babies, and we multiplied them.
Only? Oh, yeah. The 500,000 of 12 babies. You are a mad woman.
We had a crash. Yeah, but it is one of those films where it's a bit like your favorite dinner party, and you invite all your favorite guests, and they all come, and that's the feeling of this project.
Did the babies smell good or bad?
Did they smell good?
People say, "Oh, babies smell good." I'm like, it depends on how old they are.
The babies smell good, actually. Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
I didn't eat the babies though.
No Barbie babies. No barbecue babies.
Yeah, no babies on the Barbie.
Your next project, really, because so much has to do with, from what I'm seeing, and we've only met each other ourselves 7 months ago or something.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of you. You might have been aware of me, but you came to me. We instantly clicked and collaborated. But your next project really is the next step in your life, because you're moving to New York. As I feel as an artist, you can only be so long in any one place. You have to move on for inspiration, for collaborators, for just new fucking blood vibe, whatever. So that's really, I'm happy that you feel a satiation that is then causing the next big project, which is to move to New York.
Yeah, it's good to leave on a high. It's good, but I do need an input, because I am an introvert, extrovert. I will stay for years, hours and hours just making in the studio and don't see the light of day. And then I need to get my food from somewhere. Yeah. And I need to find that elsewhere. That's what I feel right now. So I'm doing that. I've just got a little show in New York coming up in July at NAMAD Contemporary group show. Little for me, because it's not a solo. It's like
where's that?
But a big group show. Self-portrait group show where it's a riff off this show where I showed you the rooster, right? With a big pair of testicles hanging off my chin.
That was a beautiful painting, actually.
It's exciting.
Well, when does that show start?
That's July 10th.
Okay, we'll be playing.
Come along.
Well, we're Lydia. We're playing. I think July 10th. We're playing like in Reading or York.
Or we're going to be somewhere in Pennsylvania as usual.
Yeah. But we'll be
Marianna,
back a few days later.
she'll be at our show July 7th.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I'll come to your show. Yeah.
Gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Yeah. Also, one of your producing partners, Giannis, he's friends with Slava, Tim.
Oh,
This is
small world.
Slava, who's been in and out of Berlin a lot. So
That's
Slava
how we met.
Out on the show. That's what?
That's how we met you.
Through Slava.
Okay.
I believe so.
Full circle. You know, we call it the connective tissue. We haven't used that phrase in a while, but that's what this podcast is. It's, you know, there are people you know, and there are people you know you don't know. There are people you want to know, and then there are people that just, by some fantastic fluke or connective tissue, come to you, and here we are.
Here we are.
And here we are. And I just happened to be in Berlin for a few days because I had a few shows canceled. So I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I mean, I'm going to Budapest tomorrow. I'm going to Madrid. I think I'll come to Berlin. And it just happened to work out that the exhibition of yours is up. I went and spoke also to the people at Silent Green, a crematorium where I'll be. I didn't even know it was a crematorium. Where Beth B has an exhibit in August, which I'll be performing at. This building was great, Tim, a crematorium. I didn't know it was a crematorium. And I sent them a bit of text, which was what do you say to somebody that only has 30 days to live? So I sent him a piece of my death eulogy, not knowing that there's the crematorium that I'll be performing at.
It's next to my house. It's 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, I mean, you heard that James Chance died yesterday, right?
Yeah, but he won't be in the crematorium.
He's going to the crematorium. And there's rumors about Chomsky, but then they're saying he's not dead.
Look, well, I'll hold my tongue on that. I'm sure he is.
Lydia, how's your film gone? Have you been touring your film?
Artist Depression, Anxiety, and Rage, I have, and it will be playing in Prague, and maybe I'll try to get it played in Berlin. And yeah, it's been playing in Italy. It'll play in New York eventually. It's been showing around. It's very important, and a lot of people that have been on the podcast were also in the documentary.
Can I see it? Do I have to wait to the cinema to see it?
Hell to the no. I'll send it to you. Maybe you can watch it on the plane. You can watch it on the plane. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, great. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, well, we have more projects in our future, I think.
I think so too. Not the babies anymore.
I like you and have it. You know, there are many monsters inside this hotel, honey. Bring them out. Bring them out.
There's a song about the Blankie. That's a creepy song. Mr. Blankie, Mr. Blankie. Always safe with Mr. Blankie. It's about the babies. Anyway, it's another football chant. It's fun researching football chants because they're horrendous. They're so mean.
Oh, when I heard him on the plane, I almost died. I'm like, oh, you're shitting me. This is what I'm going. I'm hearing what I'm about to go see.
Did you grow up in an environment, whether it was parents or siblings or uncles that were, or yourself, that were massive football fans?
No, not at all. No, my brother used to pretend to like it, but he was a nerd, so he only liked it so that he wouldn't get bullied. I think.
To confirm.
Were your parents artistic?
To conform.
Were your parents encouraging of your art fetishism from the age of 3?
Mum, no. Dad, yes. Yeah. My dad has supported me forever. Really, he just said there's no dream that you shouldn't, quell or anything.
Fan-fucking-tastic, Dad. Is he looking for another daughter? Just I'm gonna ask him next time you see him. Tell him I'm available. I'm an orphan. I'm always up for adoption. And by the way, I'm also a baby. I don't have to wear a diaper.
He'd be delighted to adopt you. He adopts everyone. He's a Samaritan now. He's decided to be on the helpline. He's always saying, he's helps people who are suicidal.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he'd like to see my documentary.
Yeah, I'm sure he would probably be very, very interested. Genuinely.
Very interesting. When I went to Silent Green, where Beth V is having her exhibition, August 15th it opens. I'm there the 16th. And a guy met me to bring me in before I came to meet you at your installation exhibition. And he said, oh, yeah, I saw you, I don't know how many years ago. He's the one that now takes over the crematorium at Art Space. And he said, you were performing with Henry Rollins. And somehow Henry Rollins began spitting blood. I'm like, what? I don't remember this at all. And he goes, yeah, and some other guy was on the bill, but he committed suicide 2 years later. I'm like, did they bring him to the crematorium? Jesus Christ. And he's the guy now running the crematorium. I'm like, I never felt more at home in a place. I can't wait to perform there.
I'm
good
sad
year.
I'm going to miss it. When is it
Well,
again?
That's September 13th. That's during Berlin Art Week.
Oh, no, I'm coming back for it. Yeah.
Of course you are. Maybe
Come on, yeah.
I'll already be here.
Yeah.
Coming back. So
you said to me, Lydia, this, what was it? This song, poetry, you have a hierarchy, right? Between art, music, poetry, song. You told me
yeah, and I'm
song...
at the top of all of it. I am the hierarchy. I don't know what you're talking about. You
You don't know what I'm talking about. You said
well,
singing
spoken word, as always.
spoken
all
word.
connected.
That's it. That's your favorite.
Yeah, even when I make an instrumental record, the titles are important. So it's always about the word. It's,
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's always about the word.
Why?
Because if I don't say anything, you don't hear anything, you won't learn anything. It's always about the word.
So you like
Trust me,
literal.
Tim,
You like,
Tim, you've seen me go silent before, haven't you?
yeah, it's usually silent before the storm. Get ready.
Wow.
It's deadly. If I get silent and I'm smiling, watch it.
That's scary. That's like when the cat is about to laugh out.
Did you see the film Smile?
I know.
Oh, it's pretty good. You might watch it on the plane if they haven't. And it's about a smiley disease. Right, what you start to smile right before you're going to kill somebody. I'm like, that's me.
That is
Shouldn't have
you.
done that film. They went inside my head and took it out. What the hell? Get out of my head.
It's kind of like a tsunami when the water kind of retracts and pulls back. Like, okay, what's going on? The ocean's disappearing. Well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have a fucking tidal wall of disaster that's going to fucking
Of whatever. Could
down.
be violence. Could just be a violent thought. It could be words. It could be just a shout. Oh, this is.
I learned something about tidal waves. Actually, I learned something about tsunamis that I didn't know. Even if you run away and you've gotten really far, about if tidal wave water is like knee deep, then you're still fucked because there's so much sediment. It's like quicksand. You can't run through it anymore. So it doesn't even matter how deep it is. You're fucked if it's even touching you, basically.
Speaking about like a tsunami of sound. So, of course, I'm traveling a lot. Tim's been traveling a lot. You'll be traveling a lot. I'm on the train the other day. I don't know, somewhere, and I don't know where. Maybe going up to Glasgow. I have no idea. And there were, again, a bunch of, fat, fucked up football hooligans, having a good time. I'm like, okay. At one point, I just shout a horrific laugh as loud as possible. And immediately, whole train stopped talking. And these two grannies sitting next thought Hurtado did it. Like, did he just do that? I go, I did. Like, just to shut him up. Oh, so annoying. So I was quiet. I was even sleeping. Hurtado was being kept awake by these loudmouths. And finally, I just let out a fucking roar of insanity. That quieted the train down. So it's kind of like what you were talking about. Oh, all right. Well, anyway, this is, as always, the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Marianna Simnett, who's going to be moving to New York. Her show, which is up till November in Berlin at the Hamburger Bahnhof, is called Winter. It's fucked up. It's beautiful. It's weird. Just like her.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thanks for being on. How long is this show up till?
Till November.
Till November.